are interested in listening.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, that was clear. All right, so I'm going to introduce Katie. Katie Weatherseed here has been working with the town of Brookline for over 5 years. She started as the town's conservation assistant, role in which she was the project manager for the Brookline Urban Forest Climate Resiliency Master Plan. So she's been involved in the climate issues for a while. For the past year, she served as the town's first and only zero waste program manager, a role in which she develops, implements, and manages all zero waste program initiatives, including composting, recycling, and as Katie Weatherseed will discuss today, the diversion of textiles from the waste stream, as is now mandated by state law. So here we go.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for that lovely introduction. Good morning, everyone. I am going to share my screen if that's okay. Let's see if do I have permissions to share? Let me see here.
You should be able to share, Katie.
Okay. You all see my screen?
Yep.
All right, perfect. All right, well, thank you again for inviting me to speak with you this morning. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about textile recycling in Brookline, as Kathy mentioned. So we'll be going over kind of why textile waste is such a huge problem. I'll give you a quick overview of the recent textile waste ban, and I will also go through the resources that residents have available to them for textile repair and recycling. We've got quite a few little slides to get through, so I will do my best to keep it short and sweet for you all. All right, so before we kind of get into the issue of textile waste, I wanted to first kind of define what textiles are. So it's really an umbrella term that includes various fiber-based materials, including yarns, threads, different kinds of fabrics, etc. So textiles here refer to kind of clothing, footwear, linens, and even some accessories like bags, belts, and hats. So the ugly truth is that over 100 billion garments are being produced globally each year. And the apparel industry alone produces 10% of global carbon emissions and 20% of the world's industrial water pollution. So with the rise of fast fashion, 230,000 tons of textiles are disposed of annually just in Massachusetts, which is about 5% of all trash generated in the state. However, 95% of all disposed textiles are actually in good enough condition to either be reused, resold, or recycled into a new product. All right. So because of the staggering amount of textiles being thrown away in Massachusetts, the state instituted a waste ban last November that prohibits the disposal of textiles. So waste bans have been around for over 30 years. They're nothing new. But in short, a waste ban prohibits the disposal or the transfer for disposal of certain toxic or easy to recycle items. The textile waste ban, it came into effect kind of following the release of Mass DEP's Solid Waste Master Plan in 2021. This document really set up some great goals, one of which was to reduce disposal statewide by 30% by 2030. And removing textiles from the waste stream was kind of one of the identified strategies. So currently, textiles are not allowed in the trash in Massachusetts. They must be recycled or donated for reuse. And there are exemptions, of course, for contaminated items. So clothes that are covered in paint, in grease, or in mold should go in the trash. But before we talk more about textile recycling, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of repair. So when we think about, the 5 R's of zero waste, refuse, reduce, and reuse all come before recycle. The reality is that we live in this fast fashion culture that encourages constant consumption and disposal and consumption and disposal. And we're wearing each article of clothing less than we have ever before. So it's estimated that the number of times a garment is worn before disposal has decreased by a worldwide average of 36% within the last 2 decades. But by caring for your wardrobe and mending your clothing, you're ensuring that you can wear your pieces for longer, you're slowing down how much you're consuming, you're avoiding the amount of resources needed to produce new clothing, And you're honoring the time and the effort of the garment workers who actually produced that original item of clothing. So textile repair is not a new concept by any means, but I think in today's society, it is kind of like a radical revolutionary act because it opposes mainstream fast fashion, right? Which prioritizes cheap clothes made of unsustainable materials and encourages kind of disposability over care. So I love this quote from author Ursula de Castro, and I really wanted to share it with you all. It says, "We aren't repurposing and mending clothes because we can't afford to buy something new. We're doing it because we can't afford to throw something away." I think that really resonated with me. So in regards to mending and repair resources, there are a lot of free resources available to everyone. So a personal favorite is repairwhatyouwear.com. It has really great written instructions as well as like videos if you're like me and you're a very visual learner. And it includes instructions for both right and left-handed folks. And it illustrates a whole suite of kind of core mending skills. For kind of more eager menders among you, Brookline Public Library also rents out sewing machines for a 2-week loan, and it comes with a very like comprehensive set of instructions for anyone who may be new to sewing machines. And there are also a ton of books out there on textile mending. So a personal favorite, and I brought it with me, is if my camera can focus. Called A Mending Life, a handbook for repairing clothes and hearts, by Nina and Sonia Montenegro. But there are a ton of terrific resources out there. I encourage you to take a look. So now that I've done my repair spiel, I want to talk about Brookline's textile recycling vendor, Helpsy. So Helpsy is the only certified B Corporation and clothing collection. And if you're not familiar with that certification, it means that they meet the highest standards of overall social and environmental performance, transparency, and accountability. So every item that they collect is examined by hand. The best 50% of the clothes are resold in secondhand stores, and that's what really pays for the collections and supports American jobs at the sorting and retail companies. 45% of what they collect is either cut into wiping rags for use by different industries, bars, and contractors, or it's either ground into insulation that would be used in carpet padding and commercial furniture. And the remaining 5% that's oil stained or otherwise contaminated is thrown away. So as I mentioned, Helpsy is a for-profit company, but the proceeds of their sales pay for a whole suite of things that they are very transparent about. So that includes drivers and staff, trucks and equipment. They do make small payments to the town. The DPW receives 2 cents per pound of textiles collected. They also pay for they send payments to 200 charity partners as well as their local vendors. So what items does Helpsy accept? So they accept all clean and dry textiles, even items with stains or missing buttons. In regards to clothing, they accept everything from tops, outerwear and dresses, bottoms, even intimates, all footwear, sandals, heels, boots, even cleats. Home linens, they accept sheets, blankets, and pillowcases, curtains, and table linens. And as I mentioned before, they accept certain accessories, so hats, belts, ties, scarves, and bags. We do have a complete list of all items that they accept on our website if you're interested. So in regards to textile recycling opportunities in Brookline, there are currently 2 drop-off bins located in Brookline, located across from Skyline Park. We're also looking to add at minimum 2 additional drop-off bin locations in North Brookline in the spring of this year. But Helpsy also offers free home pickups, which take place every Saturday. So all items that you set out for collection should be placed in a closed bag and left out by the curb. They accept donations in any type of bag. So if you have our old pink simple recycling bags, they will accept those. The only specification is that the items need to be dry and clean. I do want to note that there is a 3-bag minimum for home pickups, just so you're all aware, and residents can schedule a home pickup by visiting Helpsy's website or calling this number here, which is also available on our website. So if you'd like to directly support Boston area or Brookline thrift shops, consignment, or vintage stores, I encourage you to do so. This is just a couple that I've listed here, but we have a pretty comprehensive list of nearby stores on our website at www.brooklinema.gov/zero-waste. And something new, so the DPW has started hosting clothing drives in collaboration with HelpSee. Our first clothing drive took place last November. We collected almost 1,000 pounds of textiles just during this one-day event. There's my colleague Shema Medhat, who is the assistant recycling coordinator for the town, standing by some of our bins filled with clothes. And our next clothing drive is coming up. So this time we've partnered with Brookline Senior Center. The clothing drive will be taking place on April 24th from 12 to 4 p.m. All textiles accepted. And the Senior Center is encouraging folks to call in advance to schedule a small appointment slot just to help them better manage traffic, as it is kind of a small area. So we hope to see you there. And if you have any further questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. But thank you so much for your time and for letting me speak with you today.
Katie, thank you. That was really wonderful. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of questions. I wonder if you could stop screen sharing. Great. That's great. So there are, let me see, already a few questions. If I can find them in my chat. Sybil asks, has Goodwill begun accepting at the Com Avenue site again? It was closed to pick up since COVID started.
That is a great question. I'm actually not sure about that, but I can look into that and get back to you. I should also update our website to reflect any changes in that. No, thank you. That's a good question.
There are a number of places also that if you call them or check up on email, they'll do pickups, like Big Brother, Big Sister. You can sign up for them and they'll do pickups. So that also works. Dean asks, has the DEP set a goal for elimination of organics, food waste primarily? Or is that going to be at some future date?
Yes, it's a really good question. So they have, as far as I'm aware, and maybe Jerry may be able to speak better to this than I can. As far as I'm aware, they have not set an explicit goal. However, it's very clear that they are prioritizing it as something they're encouraging. There are a ton of grants and available. I'm just thinking specifically of RDP funds. They're really looking for municipalities to develop these organic diversion programs. And I think it's in their solid waste master plan. I think they do identify it as, I think it's the #1, the biggest category of waste that is generated in Massachusetts. And so it's clearly going to be a huge target for them as they look to reach their goal of 30% diversion by 2030.
Okay.
The DEP has not made it mandatory, mostly because it's very difficult to assume curbside when you have so many apartment buildings, condos, public housing. So it's really, they're leaving it up to, at the moment, grants at a municipal level that can be applied for. And the other aspect is one of, it's not certain whether we would go composting curbside that would then be mixed with sewage sludge. So there's that whole aspect of discussion that's happening, and the state, the folks in the recycling are just as befuddled as everybody else in what to do. And I know Boston is going half curbside voluntary, as that's over and above their Oscar drop-off center program. And half of it is going for a mixture of sludge, and the other half is going for just pure composting. So there's probably in another year or two after the research has been done, we'll know more.
Yeah. That's really complex. Thank you, Jerry.
Sure.
Bambi asked a question, which is a great question. I was thinking about it myself. the question of publicity, how are we publicizing the mandate and compliance with the mandate? And, you know, can there be posters at T stops? Is there a public information campaign that's planned?
That's a terrific question. So we did a first wave of publicity around the waistbands when they were announced last November. We're actually in the process of developing a sanitation brochure that identifies these waistbands in more detail. And that will be going out to all households in Brookline in the next several weeks. So it is something that we're thinking about. I agree, education is really everything when it comes to having folks comply with these new rules and mandates.
Who has control over that Brookline Town News email that goes out? Can you put something, can that be a headliner there?
Yeah, so that's a great suggestion. Yeah, so I think you're talking about the town administrators newsletter is a really great opportunity to spread the word. Yeah, we will. I know that it's competitive to get into that newsletter because everyone is looking for some space. But I will reach out and see if we can spread the word through that channel.
Yeah, that'd be great. Karen asks, oh, it just popped up. Karen asks, what about the Brookline Teen Center as a drop-off site? Has that been considered? It was such a useful place for the compost bin.
Yes. So we have actually spoken with the director of the teen center, the acting director of the teen center, and he has said that he's very much open to being a drop-off center. The only thing that we are thinking about is that next door, Walgreens also has a textile drop-off bin. It's not a Helpsy bin, but there are textile recycling bins very close by. So as we just think about accessibility throughout town to textile recycling opportunities, we do want to make sure that we're hitting as many different communities and neighborhoods as possible.
That's a good point. Diane Sokol asks, will the Spring Fest May 20th event have bins for textile recycling? That's another great way to publicize as well.
That's a great idea. Yes. I can see if that would be possible. I know, we'll definitely have information on it at our booth. I'm not sure if we could combine it with like a clothing drive type event or area where folks could drop off their textiles. But I could definitely discuss that with my team and see if that would be a possibility. Great idea.
That sounds like a great idea. Susan asks, the drop-off bins at Walgreens are reportedly not waterproof. Helpsy going to address that in their bins?
So Helpsy's bins are completely closed, so no water is able to get in them, and nor like any pests or rodents. They're completely closed. You need to open it and then put your bag in, and they're pretty heavily monitored by our staff. They're checked on by Helpsy once a week, every Friday. So we really try to make sure that, sometimes it gets overfilled and hard to close. So we're really trying to keep an eye on that, and we're considering that and thinking about that as we determine these additional locations as well.
And I think it was Sybil asks, how do we report scofflaws who brazenly dump things on the sidewalk? She's thinking about a particular address on Naples Road.
Yes, it's such a challenge. I think the more access folks have and the more information they have, the better. But at the end of the day, illegal dumping is like just a tough reality that I think all municipalities face. So if you do see dumping, just give our office a call. We will send someone out to collect those items. We do our best to kind of ensure that the streets are as clean as possible. So.
That's great. Bambi suggests maybe in the flyer, since it's going to go out to all households, which is a real rarity, could list the newsletters available from the town. So in the flyer include, a list of newsletters that people can access.
That's a great thought. Yeah, I think we are definitely including information on our social media platforms and channels, but I think that maybe if we could direct folks to the town administrator's newsletter and others that we utilize heavily, that would be a great thought and a great addition.
And then Jerry actually asked, have we stopped using the company that we were using before for curbside pickup of textiles?
So good question. So Simple Recycling is the company that we used previously. So we have ended our agreement with Simple Recycling, meaning that we no longer receive payments from them for items that they collect. You can still set up free collection, curbside collection through Simple Recycling if that's your preference. They're still able to operate in town. We just have this partnership with HelpSee moving forward.
That's great to know. And then how about enforcement of this ban? Are there any plans around enforcement?
Yes, so another great question. So our folks, when they go out and are collecting garbage and recycling on the streets, will open the bins and do a visual check for a contamination in each bin. If they do see contamination, in this case, textiles that are in fine enough condition to be recycled, they will not pick up the waste and will leave a notice with information on why it was not collected. For private haulers who collect waste, we do also do inspections to ensure that they are not collecting waistband items. And if we do see that they have collected waistband items, we send a letter both to the hauler and to their customers, notifying them of the rules and any possible fines or other kind of enforcement actions that they could be subject to if the contamination continues.
That's pretty thorough. So listen, it's 10:24. I would like us to take a few minutes to do a social media posting. There's some posts on our social media this morning that if we could take just 3 or 4 minutes to like and retweet and forward, let's do that now. We can mute ourselves and come back in a few minutes before we end. And Katie, thank you so much for this, and I'll thank you again then.
Thank you.
So we just have a few more minutes. I wanted to thank everybody, thank Katie, and Perry put in a great joke in the chat that I think we should all read. It's just very funny. So thank you all for coming, and thank you, Katie, for taking the time with us. And I hope we can all tell our neighbors and friends about this new program and about the new law. I know I've been telling people when I see them about the new textile law. And we'll see you all next week.
Thank you so much, everyone. Always such a pleasure to speak with you.
Take care.
Take care.